Alright, guys, I gotta try to figure out how I find out what you're seeing here. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I do videos only when, information comes in that I feel is relevant. And so that sometimes is spread out for weeks at a time. And so I forget how to run some of this. Maybe if I... Can anyone hear me? I wish there was a way I could do this. Does full screen work? Oh, it takes away the chat if I do that. Go back. I've clicked into something I didn't mean to click. Hi, Justin. Hi, Andrew. Okay. We're going to share this real quick on Twitter, and then we're going to get down to it. Hi, Myra. There's some serious stuff going to be happening today. Good. Courtney's here. Hey, Julie. So... Kim Duquette will be here soon. We've got a lot of information going to be covered today that is a long time coming. So let's just... If somebody wants to go out and share this for me on Twitter, that would help. Because they're waiting to know the link. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is what we're going to cover today. I've been sitting on something for a long time at the request of family friends of the Boutwell families, and I had been given permission by one of them, but never got an answer from another one on if I could share it. And that is Carmen Boutwell's autopsy report. So I feel there is relevant information in the report that with all the eyes of the no crime, no time, truthers, that it could benefit Stephen and Brendan's case, and I want to share that. To my knowledge, it's not been released publicly. So I just feel it's time. We need to just get it all out on the table. Hi, Graham. So the next thing we're going to talk about, or it might not even be in this order, but we're going to talk about is the Hochstetler case and some pertinent information that might possibly help the case there. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is the Bennick case. I have a hard time saying that. It's Bennick, okay? And you're going to need to do a lot of your own research on that one, but I'm going to try to put all this stuff together. So the reason this is all coming to light is because there are locals that are gathering. Information comes from one little bird to another, hits a YouTuber or this YouTuber. I've been talking with Richard. Richard's been talking to me. I'm talking about Richard Boyd. And there are the locals that have been coming forward and talking to us, and more locals are gathering. Hi, Dark Side. Glad you made it. The locals are kind of gathering together, and some of them are MAM locals as well as just locals to the surrounding community or even in that county, as well as others online. And the information that is coming together is startling. So where should we start, everyone? I'm going to let you guys guide this. It's alive. Yes, Richard. Okay, so Dark Side has typed Richard with a heart. We're talking Richard Boyd, and he's going through a lot right now, so I'm not going to get into that, but I will tell you when the locals wanted his number, I shared that, and he did a really good job of coming out and trying to get public awareness out there about the Bembenek case and how it is possibly connected to the Avery case. This is going to be something you guys need to decide. There's going to be those that just jump right away and say, nope, there's no way. Then there's going to be those of you that are diehard researchers. You're going to look at the pictures yourself, and we're going to let you form your own decision. I will tell you this. There are several locals that knew the individuals back in the day that were Manitowoc law enforcement, actually knew them. So they're very familiar with what those individuals look like at this timeline of the 1980s when these photographs in the at the Lincoln Park, alleged Lincoln Park trackside photos are called, and what that all means. They knew the individuals, and they are saying that in their belief, we are looking at not only Milwaukee cops in these photographs, but possibly, according to them, they're saying these are the people, the locals are Manitowoc County and Calumet County officials. So that's kind of shocking, including like one of them, to me personally, I can honestly say it looks to me exactly like King Kratz in the 1980s. There's another one to me, in my humble opinion, that looks exactly like Bushman. So let's check this all out. I'm going to do a real quick rundown of some websites that you yourself can go to really read up on this case. Now, forgive me. I have two dogs with me. I have Maya and Gretchen. They're my pug and my teddy bear puppies. If I put them out, you're going to hear them crying. If I put them in here, eventually you're going to hear snoring. So just know it's not like somebody sleeping, right beside me. It's my dog, okay? All right, let's go ahead. Let's just go to Wikipedia, do a real quick rundown of Lori Bembenek, okay? It's Bembenek. Now, this is, she passed away in 2010. This was a case in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and she was a former police officer that was convicted of murdering her husband's ex-wife. Sounds like it's unrelated, but you dig in a little bit, you'll start getting this, okay? So, prior to her arrest, Bembenek was fired by the Milwaukee Police Department and had gone on to sue the department. Sound familiar already? We have a lawsuit suing individuals in the police force, right? Steve Avery did too. Now listen. And had gone on to sue the department, claiming that it engaged in sexual discrimination and other illegal activities. She worked briefly as a waitress at the Lake Geneva, Wisconsin Playboy Club. At the time of her arrest, she was working for Marquette University's Public Safety Department in downtown Milwaukee. Now, the reason Marquette University sounds familiar is because that's where Kratz and Sherry Culhane got their degree. Now, keep in mind, King Kratz never passed the bar, right? Sherry Culhane never even got a master's. So that's the deal. So on November 20th, 2010, Bembenek died at a hospice facility in Portland, Oregon at the age of 52. So that's kind of like a real brief synopsis. But what's interesting is in 1980, Bembenek began training at the Milwaukee Police Academy. While still in training, an anonymous tipster reported that Bembenek was seen smoking marijuana at a party. She denied the charge, was investigated but not substantiated. Bembenek later said she believed the accusation was made by the wife of a Milwaukee police officer who confronted her at a party about her clothing and accused Bembenek of leading on her husband. So a little petty fight, squabble between women. Turns out she further claimed that female and minority officers were routinely subjected to harassment and abuse during training. Benbenek stated that when females and minority trainees became members of the police force, they were often severely punished or fired for minor infractions during their probationary period, while white male officers were unpunished for more serious offenses. She was at a rock concert, and she was accused of smoking marijuana. And then, after being fired for this, Benbenek discovered photos of Milwaukee police officers dancing nude and semi-nude at a party, mind you, in the middle of the day, okay, at a party sponsored by a local bar in Milwaukee's River West District. She had also witnessed the widespread use of marijuana, cocaine, and other drugs by several members of local law enforcement. Benbenek came across evidence that the metro area drug kingpin at the time, the notorious Ron Peters, was supplying the drugs for recreational use to the police and to members of the Milwaukee Brewers, Major League Baseball club, including Paul Molitor, the inside distributor for Peters with the Brewers. Let's stop there for a minute. Remember, we've got other major sports groups in the Avery case. Now, in the beginning, in 2016, after Ma'am came out, the first Ma'am, I personally did a lot of research on Mike Halbach, and he came up at first as having worked for Brewers, Milwaukee Brewers, and then was switched over and promoted up in the Green Bay Packers. Now, I can no longer find that online to justify that, so, either take my word for it or do some researching. Maybe you'll find it. But I assure you, in the beginning, it was coming out Milwaukee Brewers. So that's interesting. So let's get back into this. Molitor, in a subsequent plea deal, was forced to leave Milwaukee and join the Toronto Blue Jays. The Milwaukee District Attorney mandated that Molitor remain absolutely drug-free for any subsequent visits to Milwaukee, such as for baseball games. So Peters was busted and jailed after a long surveillance by the FBI, who staked out his lower flat along in Sherman Boulevard by occupying the upper flat, having been granted permission by the two nurses that lived there at the time, but worked on the south side of St. Luke's Hospital. All right, Benbenek had in her possession the scandalous photos of Schultz and the other officers dancing nude on picnic tables in Gordon Park near one of their favorite hangouts, the Tracks Tavern. She took the pictures to an Equal Employee Opportunity Commission, arguing that while she was fired for a minor infraction, the photos proved that other police officers committing more serious violations were not punished. The EEOC encouraged Benbenek to file a discrimination report with the Milwaukee Police Department Internal Affairs Division. In the months following her firing, Benbenek briefly worked as a waitress at the Playboy Club in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So what ends up happening is that in November of 1981, Benbenek and Schultz get remarried after a judge ruled that the couple's marriage was invalid because Schultz had violated Wisconsin's law by not waiting 6 months after his divorce from Christine to remarry. So that sounds kind of crazy in there to jump around, but what's happened is the guy that took the pictures, Fred Schultz, who was a 13-year veteran of the Milwaukee Police, at these picnics, Benbenek had married him, right? On May 28th, in 1981, at approximately 2:15 a.m., Fred Schultz's ex-wife Christine was murdered in her Milwaukee home. Christine Schultz had been killed by a single .38 caliber pistol shot fired point blank into her back and through her heart. She had been gagged and blindfolded, and her hands were tied in front of her with a rope. Her two sons, then 7 and 11 years old, found her face down on her bed and bleeding. The older boy, Sean, had seen the assailant and described him as a masked male figure in a green army jacket and black shoes. He also said the man had a long, approximately 6-inch or 15-centimeter, reddish-colored ponytail. Bembenek had dyed blonde hair, weighing 140 pounds, and was 5 foot 10 inches, and a female. At the time of her murder, Christine and Fred Schultz had been divorced 6 months. Fred Schultz initially stated he was on duty investigating a burglar with his partner, Michael Durfee, at the time of the murder, but years later he admitted they were actually drinking at a local bar. When ballistics testing allegedly revealed it was his off-duty revolver that had been the murder weapon, suspicion shifted to Lori Bembenek, as she had been alone in the apartment she shared with Schultz and had access to both the gun and a key to Christine's house that Fred Schultz had secretly copied from his oldest son's house key. Bembenek was arrested for Christine Schultz's murder on June 24, 1981. Fred Schultz had previously been exonerated in the fatal shooting of a Glendale, Wisconsin police officer on July 23, 1975. The Glendale officer, George Robert Sasson, had arrested a subject in a bar while off duty. Milwaukee police officers, including Schultz, responded to the call in suburban Glendale outside their jurisdiction, reportedly mistook Sasson for the suspect and shot him to death when he turns toward them holding a gun. Schultz and his partner were cleared by the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office in the shooting. Now, we're going to jump off of this and we're going to go over here and see what you guys have to say so far. Now, we're just going to be getting into what the possible connections are. So I'm going to scroll back up so we can go over what's going on. Good. Hi, Kim. How are you? Welcome. Kevin, we're expecting snoring here. Yes. Not us, because this is going to get very seriously, unbelievably shocking as we go forward with everything. But yeah, you might hear my dog snore. Have to check out. We'll definitely check this out later. Sounds good, Julie. Yeah, you can see kids in the pictures. We're going to be showing those pictures too. Mary, you made it. Excellent. Good to see you. Hey, Sean. Excellent. Andrew, good to see you. Andrew Whitehead making him 2 murders this year. And Sean, really good friend of mine. Sean Mooring. Okay. So I'm pretty much caught up. Just hello to everyone. Let's jump over. Now that we've given a basic idea of what happened, first of all, it sounds like she's absolutely framed for murder because of the fact that it's the guy she's living with that she's remarrying, because apparently it wasn't technically legal. It's his ex-wife that is shot in the head, and then later they're revealing. Let me shut this off. It is Twitter, I believe, at this point. Let me see if I just hold the button, if we can just shut the phone off. Yeah. So back to the story. So when you look at her, Lori Bembenek is a very beautiful woman, and she also becomes a police officer for the Milwaukee cops. But she's fired because she was allegedly smoking marijuana. So it come to find out that her husband's ex-wife is murdered with his own revolver, and because he's got a alleged alibi at a bar and she's home alone, she gets framed for the murder. But it's all based on these photographs, right? So I basically just Googled the crap out of everything. So we're just going to be jumping around. Computer's a little slow. You'll have to bear with me. So this is journaltimes.com news, national nude. And I'm going to try to put all these links in the description of the live when we air it. So, or when we rerun it. I hope it doesn't freeze up on us. That would really stink, because I really want to show you the pictures. It's hard because when I go live, it takes so much of my RAM, and I have such a slow computer already that it tends to take forever. All right, so if you've been watching Richard Boyd's videos, he's been talking about some similarities in the actual 8 photographs released from the track bar that would have happened at Gordon Park. Now, I say Gordon Park because I'm getting that off Wikipedia, but I've also heard that it was at Lincoln Park. And then locals are saying it actually looks like it could be the police academy backyard in Cleveland. So that's a question. But when you look at some of these, well, we're probably going to have to give up on that. Oh, I don't want to have a white screen the whole time. I hope that it allows me to share with you. Dang. I knew this case was going to take a lot of information. All right. So there's a lot of similarities in, there's a picture of a gentleman that looks very much like King Kratz. There's a guy that, to me, it's Bushman 100%. So I also see where they're talking, also Milwaukee police officers were there as well. Okay, it's coming around, it's slow, so I'll just keep, filling in the details a little bit here as we go. So when it quits flashing and jumping around, we should be able to read this in a minute. I don't want to move too many things around or it's going to freeze on us again. So we'll just try to scroll. All right, we'll go with what we got. These are the pictures that, just a few. Now there's a whole album. And this is only like, I believe there's 8 pictures here. Don't quote me. These are the kind of pictures that were released from the Bembenek. And these are what she had. And this is what we believe that she was framed for murder to get. So what it sounds like is the home was being searched of the ex-wife for this photo album, allegedly, when she was shot, okay? And then Bembenek has the photos. So that's why the whole she did it came up. But the truth is that the husband, Schultz, is the one that was the photographer. And he was disciplined for taking these pictures. These are police officers, you guys. So we're just going to scroll through, and then we're going to come back and look at these a little bit. I just want to get the pictures out so before the computer freezes on us. Now, there are some comments on here on this website. This is the Lori Bembenek blog.com 2010 12 part 5. This comment says it's from Tim Mayer. It was put back on here in December of 2010. Prior to getting these photos and publishing many of them in the Shepherd's Express, it should be noted that the police and the DA told me that these photos didn't exist. I was an associated editor for the Shepherd in the late 1980s. I moved to the Dassey region in 1990 and had these photos for some 20 years. I recently gave them to Ira Robbins, who also had several photos. The Milwaukee police requested these photos from me when I was in D.C. They contacted a Laurel police officer in Maryland, Stephen Moe. I told Moe there was no need for me to talk to the Milwaukee police because they have the photos. I had my car vandalized and received a few threats while writing the series that sparked more mafia interest in this case and didn't want to go through that again. I told Moe that Bembenek gave similar photos to Milwaukee police when she filed the complaint. But they chose not to investigate the case. Why? After she filed her complaint, she got charged with the murder. If I would have given them my photos, I felt they would just destroy them. I wasn't going to do that. Keep in mind, the internet didn't exist back then. Glad to see they are here for everyone to see. Now, this next one says, "Hey Tim, thanks for the very informative comment. FYI, over the years I collected hundreds of the nude party pictures along with a video of the nudes at the 1980 Tracks Tavern party. I've already identified 4 Milwaukee police officers in those pictures and also a lot of citizens Lori complained about and the police Internal Affairs were investigated the 1979 and 1980 parties and had repeatedly and unsuccessfully gone to DAE. Michael McCain attempting to have Schultz criminally charged. The video you gave me was from 1987 Trax Party. Apparently, the district attorney gave blank immunity to the Trax, along with the immunity gave Schultz. Nobody has ever been prosecuted. Regards, Ira. You can go on to read this more. It goes on into what took place. It was full nudity. It was supposedly happened at the Milwaukee Trax Tavern. And so first we're going to scroll down through these pictures a little slower. All right, so if you look at these pictures, you can see the women are crossing their arms, but everybody seems to be like truly enjoying this public display of nudity. And these are police officers. Everybody's got smiles on their faces, and it's just disturbing to see. Look how vulgar this picture is. You got the guy with the camera not taking a picture at all. You got the girl smiling down below. God, that guy just totally looks familiar. Look at this. Can you believe that this would even take place? They're stripping each other. And everybody's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And you can see there's kids in this. There's little kids in some of these pictures. Women too. Now look at this guy. Look at this round head guy with them glasses and that little cheesy mustache there. To me, I swear to you guys, I think that's King Kratz. Just in my humble opinion. I mean, if somebody said that's King Kratz, I'd be like, yep, I can see that 100%. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, to me personally, that looks like King Kratz. And this guy next to him looks like somebody. So we're going to start doing some comparison pictures in a minute. I mean, it's complete nudity. And look at this crowd of people. And the female officers are getting naked as well. They're wearing the emblems of the bar on the t-shirts. She's got her clothes completely off. This lady too, completely taking her clothes off. Wow. All right, let me see how we get to... Hopefully it can handle me opening another window. Otherwise, we may have to close some of those. But if you can bear with me, I'm going to show you some comparison photos of pictures of people we know in the ma'am case. And there's Richard. And I'll let you be the judge, you know, if you think they look alike or not. And we'll also share, like, this is the New York Times, and it's talking about the Bembenek case, also known as Bambi. Bembenek shows the pronunciation, and it goes into some stuff there. All right, so files, go to some downloads. And we still got to talk about and show Carmen Boutwell's autopsy, as well as talk about something that I've learned from the locals about Ricky Hochstetler's death, and that's just, I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about it till it's time. So let's start off with one right away that I think is King Kratz. I mean, let's pull it up. We'll do a couple of these. Now, I didn't do any of these combination comparison photos. They were sent to me by the locals. There are people that absolutely have known these individuals back in the 1980s. And this is what they say they look like. And they're saying, this is them. This is the people. And they want us to share this. And they're saying that this proves that these counties were corrupt way back then. Now, the question is, while we wait on this photo to upload for days and years, the real question is it possible that the Averys or even Stephen knew about these photos. Okay? And the reason we say that is there's a jail call between Chuck and Stephen. And in that jail call, I know that Richard Boyd's put a call out to Millbilly, hoping that he'll be able to find it. I'm going to top that too and say, hey, AC, you guys, if you can, excuse me, if you can dig in and find this jail call. Stephen Avery's talking to Chuck, and Chuck's like, you got me in trouble. And Steve's like, no, I didn't. How'd I get you in trouble? I'm the one in jail, right? I'm just paraphrasing, but this is how I recall it. And Chuck's like, those photos. And he's like, what photos? Steve says. He's like, you know the ones, the photos. He's like, no. He's like, I don't know. You got to tell me or something. And he's like, the photos in the safe. And Steven's like, no, I got rid of those. He's like, well, no, you didn't, because they said they have them. He's like, well, they can't have them, can they? Because I told you I got rid of them. And Chuck is like, well, they say they got them. And Steven's like, well, they say they got them, but that's all they're using is words. They don't got them because I told you I got rid of them, you know. So that call has me wondering if when he was exonerated and then he was suing the county for $36 million, and they're coming back, Peg L comes back, the attorney general for Wisconsin comes back and says, well, you know, Stephen, we're not going to say anybody did you wrong. We're not going to have the county at fault or anything because it was an honest mistake of mistaken identity. And Stephen's like, no, it wasn't. He gets a lawyer. The Innocence Project gets behind him. You got Walter Kelly up there, and they're starting to prove that Peg L is wrong, right? And he starts saying, when he's doing his live interviews on the news, he's saying, I just want people to be held accountable. I just, want them to admit it. And he's telling everybody, this is a corrupt county. Corrupt county. Steve is. So what did he know? These parties are supposedly, you listen to Dave Pagata, and he talks about these clubs and these parties, and we're hearing about this track bar, and you have to look at it and say, okay, we're talking about cops and clubs, and we're talking about cops and public nudity and cocaine and drugs and pictures being taken in Milwaukee. That sounds like another cop club. And they do cross jurisdictions. I just read where that group cross jurisdictions. So how far of a reach or a jump do we have to make it to where we look at this rash of individuals that had just graduated from Marquette University, and the Marquette University people are possibly being seen right at this track sign thing. And look at this. Here you got a guy, to me, we know the guy in glasses is Ken Kratz. How far of a stretch is that picture if you're taking off, 20 years, 30 years, right? So let's see if we can, is there a way I can just click next so I don't have to do each picture? See all pictures? I don't know. We're winging it today because it's just about the information. We just got to get it out there. So after the local birds were tweeting to me, and I don't mean tweeting, but talking to Richard Boyd and myself and some others, they started sharing a lot more information about other cases. And an individual, a local, went and talked to Deb Hochstetler. And Deb is a sweetheart, by the way, and she's done a couple interviews recently, so she is starting to open up. But one of the things that the local people, and there was a couple that have confirmed, is that Deb Hochstetler has told them that Deb Kakash, which is the retired Manitowoc County coroner that was barred from the Avery case and not allowed to go on property, that when she handled Deb Hochstetler's son's case, Ricky Hochstetler's hit and run in 1990, 9, that she actually gave Deb Hochstetler an envelope with a letter in it and told her that if she ever really wanted to know the truth, to read the letter, and that Deb Hochstetler has chosen to never open the letter nor read it. So that's hard, but I mean, Deb, from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking you, please open the letter and please read it and share it with all so that we can just get this. The truth has to come out. It absolutely has to. And if you're compromised, then we'll find a way to help you to get the letter. But please, let's just move on with this. And so in a show of good faith, that information where we've been asked because of safety measures to hold off, I'm just going to release it anyway on Carmen Boutwell's autopsy as a show of good faith that I'm willing to put myself out there with Courtney Skinner and Cam Duquette, and all the others that are stepping forward. I'll put myself out there with you guys. So we'll do a few more of these matchups to see what you guys think, but the locals want you guys to do your own work so that you draw your own conclusions and they don't get accused of leading you to a conclusion. That's the last thing they want to do. So we're gonna go to this Bushman here. So first of all, you got to remember, there's a lot of these photos with the Bushman one. How does that not look alike? That looks a lot alike, guys. I'm not saying it's him. I'm just saying, wow, that's some serious, serious resemblance. Look at that chin and those, that nose. It's. Let's look at another one. I'll come back to the wall in a minute, and we're going to come back to more information as we go forward. What do you guys think? You know the Muppets where, like on Sesame Street and stuff, they can take and put a triangle nose on or a round nose on and all that? Well, look at that nose. It's that triangle nose and that, like, over-the-top mustache and that little fuzzy notch under the chin and that chin, those thick eyebrows. Everything about that picture is very similar to me. And yes, you're looking at the black and white is Mike Bushman. That's a little one, so a little too blurry for me. Let's see. Let's just look at another one of Mike Bushman here. Oh, yeah. Let's see another one here. There you go. Canine efforts. That Mike Bushman sure gets around town, don't he? And guess what? He played basketball with our corner from Calumet, Mike Glazer. Oh, yeah. Here you go. You're getting awards here. I'm looking to see who. Ken Peterson's in it. Michael Bushman. Yeah. So you guys, you're going to have to do some looking for yourself. Use your own judgment. I'm not saying it is them. I'm saying the locals got my attention. And they're saying they've known these people back in the day and that is what they look like. And they've got 16 to 18 of these people matched in pictures. And I have yet to disagree with one of them. Just saying. Wow. Let's look at this Peterson ones. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's pretty close. The way the mouth is held, you know. Let's see all photos. Go back to that. So yeah, Deb, I hope you're listening. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. We've got to quit allowing fear to stifle our ability to share the truth. And please just open the letter. I feel, you know, Carmen deserves the truth coming out. Ricky deserves the truth coming out. And how many other victims that we don't know about right now because the real perpetrators were allowed to continue. Look at that, you guys. Big old hound dog eyes on both those guys. And that's Ken Peterson in the black and white. And it does. It looks almost identical to that picture. Jeez Louise. All right, let's see. Do we got any more of these to share? This one I'm not real happy to share, but I'm going to. The locals think that we have Deb Kakash in the pictures as well. And man, that really, really could be her. I don't know. Now that's a hard one, but let's look at this. Oh, wow. Oh, geez. You know, that really, really looks like Deb, doesn't it? Guys, is Steve talking that he was aware of this stuff, and is this why Kasurik, you know, King of the Hill, went after Stephen? Is this what the whole Sandra Morris bullshit was about? Has this case been nothing but a stage to get to photos that Stephen has and to get a $36 million lawsuit off their back? I mean, what does it really matter what color the RAV is at that level? If they're willing to frame Ben Bennick for murder and willing to murder to get the photos, it really heightens my awareness that now Stephen is framed for a murder. It looks like the same Manitowoc cops are in these photos. How far apart is Milwaukee, Kenosha, Fond du Lac, Manitowoc, Appleton, Green Bay? It's a corner block of Wisconsin. When you look at the Christine Rudy case, 12 counties helped with that case. That wasn't even as high profile as the Halbach case. All counties helped with the Halbach case. How did they all know to be front and center? How did Fallon? How did King Kratz? How did they all know to be front and center for this particular missing girl? When there's a, younger missing girl that's pregnant out on the side of a logging road without even a vehicle to protect her in a pair of little tore up tennis shoes and a little gray light winter jacket. But they don't find that interesting. How did they know all that? Just saying. All right, let's see if I can make it back over to topside where you guys are without the computer freezing up. I know I'm not real upbeat about sharing all this because it's so intense, because it is so real. Lives are at stake, obviously, when you've got, think about it. DCI guy that investigates Kasurik and Bushman and Robert Herman for possibly allegedly being involved in the Ricky Hochstetler case, he ends up dead. Grimm ends up dead. The guy that went out and accused Kasurik, knowing all this information about Kay, Kasurik's sister, and being friends with her and sharing all the information, he gets accused of doing some wild, crazy shit in the Lincoln school and stuff, and then ends up dead when he's the one fearing for his life. Carmen Boutwell was outright telling her family that she was being stalked by law enforcement, state level law enforcement, and that she feared for her life days before her own death. This isn't a joke. We need all eyes to protect Kim Duquette. She didn't start any of this, but she was brought into it by the locals that went to me and Richard. We're broadcasting it. There are others. There's Who's Read It on Reddit. AC is blasting this out for us as well on Twitter, on multimedia. It's coming out because the locals are reaching out to us all. And Kim's picking it up because she's getting calls from family Avery members wanting to know, why is this happening? She didn't know either, but she's digging into it. And yeah, she's starting to recognize people too. Courtney Skinner contacted Deb Hochstetler, and she can tell you that she's also been told that Deb said there's a letter. So we need the truth to come out. I'm going to go back up and we're going to try to play catch up here. And a lot is rolling, so forgive me if I missed something. I definitely apologize. Okay. Okay, Courtney says, according to the Lori blog spot, it was Lincoln Park. Okay. Although there were parties going on in our counties too back then. I think there was possibility it was going on in many different counties, in many different parks, to be honest. Yeah, Courtney again says, Lori Bembenek blog spot has all the information. And sorry if the screen was blurry, guys. It's just that my computer can barely handle it. Hey, Thread Killer, welcome. Oh, somebody said that it was their screen was blurry. Good. Hey, Charla. Good to see you again. Hey, Darby. I'm just reading you guys, see if we're missing anything. Yeah, it is. Dark Side's talking about how shocking it is to see these adult men and women completely naked at a park where kids are. And they had to talk about Stephen with such a cheek. Yeah, they were really, Manitowoc County was all about how perverted Steve was allegedly, and accused him of, doing perverse things on top of foot of cars and all this crap, when actually they're doing it right in front of the public. Thread Killer says that guy looks like Tadich. Yeah, I agree. Totally. There's so much to this, you guys. I need you to dig into these photos. I'm going to be giving you the actual website to the photos, and you can do some of your own comparisons there. You can look at this video for the comparisons. There's also comparisons on Richard Boyd's, and there are those on the internet as well. Multimedia is just being swamped. Reddit's being swamped. The locals are doing their best to cover all social media. So we're coming together. No, you don't do a crime, you shouldn't do a time. So no crime, no time. That's a community I'm building behind the scenes, hoping to be ready by March 1st. And in that, I can't very well talk about spreading public awareness and stuff if I don't support the locals that are putting their asses on the line. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm showing you what they're saying. Richard's a voice for them. I'm a voice for them. Who's reading it is a voice for them. AC's anybody, everybody that's going to be sharing this is a local's voice. This is what they're sharing with us. I didn't create these pictures. I didn't go find these websites. I was given all of this, as was Richard. And there's many, many locals that have gotten past the fear mongering. They're no longer going to be allowed, or they're no longer allowing fear to intimidate them into silence. And they're starting to hold hands, and victims of victims' families are coming together in the same county. So, law enforcement might be able to keep Brendan and Stephen from talking, but it's not going to happen. The movement's getting too big, because the truth will shine just like the sun shines. You can only keep a secret in the dark if it's not shared. Okay? All right, let's get going here. Yeah, that looks so much like Kratz. I expect him to be at something like that anyway. Charlotte says, Courtney Skinner, I haven't been on in a while, but I've been following ma'am since Netflix. Sean says, and all of this conducted under the watchful eye of kids. How disgusting. Absolutely. Yeah, Thread Killer, you're going to want to watch this one again. I will upload it so that you can rewatch this video and review photos and go through that. Joe would like to vote every one of them out of office unless they do something to retry this case, or these cases. Yes. Courtney says, Charla, I was trying to be funny. Doesn't happen often. Nice to meet you. Hi, Lacey. Thread Killer says that would be the club. Yeah, Dave Bogota was one of those kind of guys that just had the strength to come forward before anybody else and share the knowledge about the club. And boy, a lot of stones were thrown towards him. He was handed a tinfoil hat all the time and all this. I never did doubt him, honestly. And anybody that knows me knows that from the beginning, that I always felt that Dave was straight on. The idea that not only Dave has spoke about that, but when this first was being given to me by the locals, they had sent the Bembenek, I won't call it the Bembenek photos, the track photos that Bembenek had. They had sent them to me, and the first thing I thought I saw was Scott Tadich in one of the pictures, and I was like, is that Mike Bushman? I had no idea it was a Bembenek case. So for me, I was like, that's weird. But I was like, found out it was the Bembenek case, and then the locals are like, hold on, you don't understand. We've connected all the dots. So locals had went through and done their own research, and they've connected all kinds of the Manitowoc County, the Calumet, as well as the Milwaukee police in these photos. So some of the officers that we've seen in MAM are in these photos according to the locals, and they remember them back then looking like that. So that's quite an affidavit eyewitness statement. It's just shocking. Gina Swan says the guy with the bushy hair is supposed to be Bushman. Courtney says no, Gina. She hasn't showed Bushman yet. Okay. It is KK. You would know that mouth anywhere. That's what I say, Mary. That looks exactly like Kratz. Seriously. Now, I will say, there is a picture in there that seriously does look like Chuck Avery. I'm not saying it's him. I'm saying the pictures, to me, in my humble opinion, are a match. And if that is so, is that the conversation where Chuck is talking to Stephen on that jail call that we're calling out to you guys to find, because we heard it. I listened to it 6 times. It was prior to any of these photos coming to my knowledge. And I kept thinking, what is Stephen talking about that he destroyed photos that were in a safe and that Chuck's going to get in trouble over? I mean, seriously, if they'll go to the length of murdering Christine Schultz to get this album of photos, I'm with Richard Boyd. I've always said, is it really about the money? Because we would have only parted with about $4.8 million to Avery. I'll bet you whatever you want, $36 million was what he was asking for. I think the highest recorded case is like 7 or 8 million in Wisconsin to this day. Of course, now when he gets out, it's going to be unreal. He might as well own the United States because the injustice is just absolutely unfounded in every way and compounded by this kind of bullshit where you have a mob mentality of police officers and law enforcement that go up through the chain of command all the way to God knows where, and they think they can get away with partying naked in front of children and using drugs and having drug cartels supply them? For real? For the love of God. It's nepotism. It's, hiring your brother and your nephew to take over when they're all part of this club they're in. And I think I think they're sex trafficking. I really do. When you see those kind of photos where they're celebrating that, think about it. Teresa's into porn photography. How do you feel comfortable? I'm just going to throw this shit out there today because I've had enough. How do you feel comfortable photographing little tiny babies, infants, and children and switching the dime to your hot lights and lava lamps and taking pornography pictures and doing porno shots with your friends? And yeah, you got the Green Bay Packers marching through the Pierce photography studio. He's taking pictures too. You got Teresa being caught by investigators having a trunk beside her bed with photographs and negatives of naked photos. They're killing people for photos. And we have a dead girl. Is it basically that Teresa was a Ben Bennett? Did she come have photos that they hit on and they were like, she's got to die, we'll put it on Avery, conquer 2 birds with 1 stone? Somebody tell me, because something is going on when I see what looks like to me King Kratz sitting in the front row of a nudie show in the middle of a day in a park with children and cameras. All that's missing is his perverted popcorn and his own handcuffs. It's disgusting. I told you it was going to be a doozy today. I've just had enough. I've had enough pretending that we need to be talking about the RAV being blue or green. I don't give a damn what color the RAV is at this point. It's all a sham. It's all a damn sham. It's a staged event from the beginning to the end. They've created evidence that wasn't even there. They grabbed clean pairs of underwear in case Brendan would name one of them so that they could throw that pair of underwear over at the Averys. It's the truth. You know it's the truth. The guilters know it's the truth. They're just not publicly saying it. How far up does it go? We got National Reserve assisting in the setup like Thread Killer says. This is absolutely ridiculous. Was Teresa's trunk a porn stash? That's a great question. Bushman and Taddock do look a lot alike. Bushman's got potato farms up in Crivets. He lives right next to, a few miles apart from Avery's up in Crivets. So we knew they were being watched then. We don't want to believe, like Courtney's saying, we don't want to believe that Kakash is corrupt. And it's possible that at that time, this was a wild party she got caught up in, later had regrets, pulled herself out of it. I don't know. I'm not saying that's her in the picture. I'm not saying any of these people are who we think they may be. I'm saying, in my personal opinion, which I'm entitled to, that looks a hell of a lot like her. That looks a hell of a lot like King Kratz. I believe these people possibly could have a lot of secrets that we haven't even touched. And I personally do believe that the Ben Bennett case could be directly related to the Avery case. If in 1985, Stephen broke into one of their bars that was part of their secret club, because we know he broke into a bar. That's where he got, some of his charges. Where his problems started and stuff was he broke into the bar for a roll of quarters, so forth. They threw the book at him, literally. Is it possible that he came across some information, or is that where he pissed off the club? If this is as deep as I think it is, Thread Killer says, we may never get answers through any means other than our own discovery of truth. True. And Deb Kakash may be straight up. I'm not saying that she's not. Absolutely not. I have a lot of faith in her. She was barred off that property. She was scared to death for her life. But I'm wondering if this is why. Was it possible that she got caught up in that in her youth? And they were trying to compromise her and she balked it. She just stood up against it. I mean, I think she's a fighter and I think she's a trooper and I think she's on our side. I think for sure she is. And I think that's why Deb's Hochstetler should read that letter and share it with everyone if possible, because Deb said that has the truth in it. And that shows she's up and up, that she's good. She's calling out to us from the inside out. That's very risky. But at the same time, we have to truly look at this without an emotional attachment to try to figure out what is going on. I'm not drawing a conclusion for you. I'm simply sharing my own opinion. My own opinion doesn't matter. It's what you think. You guys get on here, you start looking at these pictures, you tell me what your thoughts are. Yeah, I think that the truth does terrify Deb Hochstetler and Deb Kakash, and I think that might be what brought them together, is if you think about it, they would know the power into how serious this could be to come out. Face it, everybody that tries to bring this to light in the past, we end up having a funeral. I mean, how many coincidental suicides are you going to get? God, one guy accidentally drank or killed himself or something associated with the county, Manitowoc County. He was like a bookkeeper or something. He drank poison. I want to say it was arsenic in a soda or something. And they claimed it to be a suicide. Really? That seriously does look like Peterson to me, Mary. Hey, Jeannie. Good to see you, love. Yeah, I do think this was set up for months and months and months. I think it was actually set up for years. I think that's where Sherry Culhane sat on that computer printout for a year to give him time to set it up to get Stephen. Now, you've got that Kathy Williford that was the DOJ agent that was running Teresa's route prior to her for Auto Trader. Don't you guys think Auto Trader is just like some government front to basically undercover like drug stings and stuff? I mean, it's the perfect idea. They can be on property taking pictures and call it a cold shot without permission and say, well, we're just in case you wanted to sell that vehicle. It just seems strange. James says, Kratz saying that Avery is a sexual pervert. Then you see all the police naked in front of your kids. Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a fact. Those are police officers. That's not even in question. In fact, the guy that took the photos was actually reprimanded. His ex-wife was murdered. Ben Bennett was framed for the murder, and it was all related to these photos. Then you've got Steve talking to Chuck on the phone in the jail call, and Chucky's saying, you got me in trouble. Well, when is Chuck ever in trouble? I don't remember Chucky getting in trouble. Do you guys? I mean, yeah, he's gotten in trouble, but I'm talking about right then, those years that was happening. Well, Willie, those naked pictures have to do a lot, so I'm going to let you go back to the beginning on this, because that'd pretty much us have to redo the whole video. So they're pretty important. Yeah, I totally believe Kratz is an evil sexual deviant. Joe says this is the one of the most corrupt places on earth. Maybe Josh Gates needs to investigate it on Discovery Channel. Oh, for God's sakes, yes. Josh Gates, if you get wind of this, come investigate, please. KTKO says, if these pics were something that happened in public, then what's the problem? Public knowledge. Sure, it's embarrassing, but unless this was a secret thing, then what's the issue? Well, the issue would be that public nudity in front of children is illegal, one. Number two, it's officers of the law that are getting naked in front of the public. Number three, it was said and witnessed that there were drugs, including cocaine there, including that the drug cartel was supplying it to the police officers. So you may not have a problem with that, but the rest of us, I assure you, do. So Kim Ducat says they needed to discredit Stephen to move on with things. Yeah, that's it. You know, Stephen was opening up to everybody. He got attention on a national level that Manitowoc was corrupt. Okay? That was, he had started an investigation with depositions into the officers. They're one step away from possibly discovering this club with all these naked public pictures and drugs and kids and all this. So they wanted to shut Stephen up, is my belief. Courtney says, again, please stand with Deb Hochstetler. She is innocent in all of this. And I know that from my working on my brother's homicide, it's hard to let him go and move forward. Absolutely. I'm begging Deb from the bottom of my heart. I know it's scary, and I know how intimidated you feel. I'm going to be showing Carmen Boutwell's autopsy in a minute. I don't know what's going to come out of it. I'm hoping that it'll help the case. But it's in movement to show you, Deb, that information that might scare us to share or to know has to still come out, because it's right for the victims. We have to do right by Carmen. We have to do right by Ricky. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a drink. This is the hardest video I've ever made, I will assure you. Deb Scott says, ooh, where in the moral compass of these people doing all of this in front of children? If they were normal citizens, they would have been arrested for lewd acts and drug use. Oh, yeah. Hey, Super Mario Maker, good to see ya. Courtney says, Jodelle, if I get you, I've got another. It's time to show up and take care of this. Yep. Oh, gotcha. KTKO's is saying there must have been more to it than we're even seeing. Like, what happened after the party if they're doing this in public? Okay, gotcha. I apologize. I took it the wrong way. Oh my God, I don't want to even know. Those poor kids, you guys. Jeez. I'm saying, you got Teresa photographing the little kids in the daytime, porno at night. You got people at picnics doing nudies and lewd movements of jacking off on the stage there in front of kids, and they're taking pictures. It just, something is connected here. Why would Kasurek have been the target of all this? Because he would have been a sheriff of one of the counties of that area. You know, you think about it, Milwaukee cops and the Manitowoc cops, the county cops anyway, they're going to be in contact at times. It's not like a criminal stays put in one county. For God's sake, Sean Rudy went through almost every single county of Wisconsin before he left here, went to one little place in Iowa, and then shot right back up through, 12 counties before he got to his own. And the Christine Rudy covered 13 actual counties of investigation where they all worked together that circumferenced, I think it was something like 250 miles worth of counties or something. So they do work together. It wouldn't be too hard to understand that if this was some sort of an initiative, well, who all would you see? Well, King Kratz had just graduated not too long before that. Sherry Culhane had just graduated. Where'd they graduate from? Marquette University. I mean, yeah. All right, so let's go and get Carmen's autopsy report. This is something that I have a very hard time understanding why I have been asked previously to keep this private. But if the computer will bear with me, I will share it with you guys today. Hey, Hazel. All right, let's see here. Whoops. I may have screwed up the live stream. I hope not. If I did, rejoin me and we'll do another one. This one's kind of long anyway. Okay, wait. I might can click back into it. Don't panic. I want to panic because I just clicked off the live stream. But I think I've done that before and was able to keep going, so. I just haven't been able to sleep at nights anymore, hardly at all. I go to bed at the witching hour of 3 a.m. After watching Mind Shock and stuff, and they're talking about the witching hour 3 a.m., it's like somehow I'm back to can't sleep till 3, and that's not doing me any good. Okay, we did get our live back, so let's go to the new tab. Okay, yeah, don't let go of me. All right. I got it buried on my OneDrive, so you'll have to bear with me till I get to it. While I'm getting to it, I'll tell you, before we close off after this, I want to show you guys a sneak peek on the actual No Crime, No Time community, which is incredible. You can find it at nocrimenoTime.org. And there are some that are choosing to sign up, though it is not complete, so you are only getting a small percentage of what the actual website will contain. It's very interactive. Let's see here. I want to say no, not here. Not here. I should have found it and had it open, but I could only have so many windows open before my computer just kills over. Let's see. Let me see where I put it. Yeah, it's here. All right. I don't guarantee they're in any certain order because it's just, well, this is a PDF. Let's go see if this is it. And this will be available to the public when we're done. So it's 7 pages long. This is Carmen Boutwell, Manitowoc County Coroner's Office, Deb Kakash, County Coroner. Name, Carmen Boutwell, sex, female, age 24, date of birth, 8/14/1981. Date of death, 11/03/2005. Time, 9:08 hours. So the autopsy was at 9:30 hours and her death was 9:08 hours. So 22 minutes after she passed, they were already doing an autopsy. Oh no, I am totally wrong. The date of the autopsy is the next day. So 24 hours and 22 minutes. Thank you. Whew. Almost screwed that up. Got myself all wound up. The place of autopsy was at the Waukesha County Morgue. Performed by P. Douglas Kelly, MD, forensic pathologist. Witnessed by Terrence Hubbard, forensic autopsy assistants. Cause of death, multi-drug toxicity. methadone, and ethanol. And it is signed by Douglas. I'm going to come back before we go any further and just double check that you're all able to see it. Okay, somebody hit me up. I mean, it's going like crazy. But somebody let me know that you actually saw the document. Yes, now you guys know why Richard was like, you call that a dick, because he's talking to Mike Bushman, allegedly. So, was anybody seen, was it actually visibly seen, the autopsy report to anybody? I know there's a huge delay. I'm just going to wait for just a minute to... I just want to make sure that Andrew says it's all good. That's what I'm seeing. Oh, thank you, Hazel. That's what I'm saying, Courtney. I feel like it's very possible the females were made to perform. I'm not saying that they aren't victims up there on the stage. I don't know. I don't understand this. That's for you guys to help all of us figure out. The locals simply want to bring it out to all of you and get all of your eyes on it. Oh, I know, Jeannie. I know. They've blown my mind, too. I'm very proud of the locals for coming together and getting enough strength to just say, screw the fear, we're done with it, we're going to come out and we're going to charge this, you know. So, in all fairness, if I'm going to, talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. So, Deb, Hochstetler, this is for you. Let's get right back into the autopsy report. Let me get a little bigger here. I have a hard time always reading this stuff, you know. Identification. At the time of the descendant's body, it's received for autopsy. The descendant's name is written in ink on the surface of the transport bag. The zippers are secured with tape, which bears the descendant's name, the deceased name, and the deputy's initials. Photographs. Photographs are taken prior to and during the post-mortem examination by Doug Kelly, MD, forensic pathologist. X-rays, no X-rays are obtained. Clothing, personal effects. This is where it gets really hard for me, because when you listen to this list of effects that was found with Carmen, it really says who she is as a person, because, we're all going to dress a certain way. We're going to wear a certain kind of jewelry. And this was a free-spirited girl that was full of love and compassion for this world. And so here we go. The body of the deceased is received with the following items of clothing and personal effects. Number 1, a shipbuilder's credit union envelope with $8 in American currency, 1 $5 bill, and 3 $1 bills. Number 2, a receipt for cash withdrawal 10/31/2005 at 12:10 p.m. Number 3, a Wisconsin identification card. Stop right there. The reason it's a Wisconsin identification card is because Carmen Boutwell's driver's license had been pulled, suspended, by the the Calumet County had pulled that for a previous hit and run thing. Now that does prove, that is fact, that she did not have her license, and it does go right in line with the story that Grandma Boutwell told to a family friend that shared with us about how she had to drive Carmen to the out-of-the-way place for a car interview with DCI. Or DOJ, I think it was even. That's just... You'd say, well, they would never interview someone in their car. Well, then go back and listen to all the Brendan Dassey interviews in the car, the Earl interviews in the car of the law enforcement. They sure do. Eric Cozy, he's talked about how they keep that ticking going through that whole interview just to drive you nuts. Or the wind is blowing and you can't hear the interviews. It's like they don't want you to know what's going on. Back to the form. Number 4, 3 lighters, 2 purple and 1 yellow. So she was a lighter thief. That's kind of funny because I do happen to smoke. I shouldn't, but I do. And I get accused all the time because when I leave my friends home, they're always like, do you have my lighter? And I always have 3 lighters, right? So I can relate to that. Number 5, 19 cents in American coinage, 3 nickels and 4 pennies. Number 6, a Camel Cash coupon. Number 7, a red handkerchief. Number 8, a tampon. Now that's going to come into play, you guys, so pay attention. Number 9, a gray metal necklace. Number 10, a gray metal necklace with blue and bronze colored beads. Number 11, 2 gray metal rings on the necklace. Number 12, a dark gray t-shirt. 13, a white t-shirt. 14, a white tank top t-shirt. 15, a black bra. 16, a pair of tan cargo pants. 17, a pair of white socks. 18, a pair of black plaid boxer shorts. Stop there. Note there's no underwear, no panties. It's boxer shorts. Okay? Carmen was a lesbian, and that has been confirmed by her family. And it also has been confirmed by Jessica, her roommate, who I've personally talked to before, and talked to for quite a bit. It was a half hour one time that she actually gave me the chance to ask her some questions. And she just wanted to move on with her life. She was terrified of that time frame. And she said she wasn't there when it all occurred, but she was there in the aftermath, and she said it was horrifying. So she definitely felt threatened, and did move on for her own safety to start her life over. Let's get back into this. A pair of white socks is number 17. 18, a pair of black plaid boxer shorts. Okay, I backed up a little. 19, a black elastic hairband around the descendant's wrist. 20, a yellow beaded bracelet. 21, a white cloth bracelet with yellow bead. 22, a black rubber bracelet with slacker on it. 23, a gray metal ring to the left ring finger. 24, a red, blue, and yellow rubber bracelet with love on it. 25, a yellow rubber bracelet with live strong on it. 26, 2 gray metal piercing studs to the left brow. 27, a blue metal earring. 28, a gray metal earring with the blue sapphire on it. 29, a gray metal earring with multiple colored sapphire on it. 30, a pair of gray metal earrings with gray sapphires on them. Before we go to the next page, I want to bring up that I recall, and so do you, I'm sure, of the phone call where the man exclaims in the background of the dispatch call, "We found a whole bracelet here, a whole bracelet." Now you know why I always say Carmen Boutwell wore jewelry. Okay, let's go to the next page. 31, a plastic bag with green leafy substance, which was most likely marijuana. And 32, a plastic, partially burned cigarette joint. So she had a joint with her. Items number 31 and 32 were turned over per chain of custody to the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department at the time of examination. Evidence of post-mortem change. Now, this gets complicated, and I'm not a medical doctor. I do have some medical training as a med tech, but as far as anatomy, that isn't something that I have a great skill set in. So I'm just going to read it straight up. There are those of you that have medical understanding that'll be able to bring to light more information for us. Livor mortis is posterior, purple, and fixed. Rigor mortis is established due to the extremities and the jaw, but appears to have been broken to the left arm and left leg. There are tardieu spots to the interior neck, upper anterior, and posterior neck. Now, I did look this up, and that implied that there was some markings on Carmen's neck that would have taken place prior to her death. There are small areas of vasculation to the skin located to the left posterior calf and right posterior thigh. The deceased body is cool to the touch. Evidence of medical surgical intervention. There are electrocardiogram patches to the chest. So this is why I always said she was alive when she was brought in. However, I have since been corrected by a medical personnel that stated that they do that as a precaution, even if they don't get a heartbeat, to try to save the person's life. So that doesn't necessarily mean the person was alive when that was put on, but it doesn't mean they were dead either, okay? Evidence of trauma injury or traumatic injury. There's a small red-brown scab to the right buttock, which appears to be a lesion rather than an injury. There is no internal trauma. Identify marks, scars, and tattoos. There is a monochromatic non-professional tattoo to the dorsal left hand. General external examination. The deceased body is that of a normally developed, well-nourished white female appearing consistent with the reported age. The descendant's body measures 65 inches in length and weighs 134 pounds. Head. The hair is short, dark brown with no evidence of trauma to the scalp. Eyes. The irides are brown in color and the pupils measure 5 millimeters bilaterally. I don't know the word. The sclera and conjunctiva, I can't say that either, are congested without, you guys are going to just hate me. I can't say any of this. I'm going to be told to go back to school and all that again. Pectoral, I don't know. Hemorrhaging. Nose. The nares are patent. Ears. The ears are unremarkable. Oral cavity. The detention is natural without oral trauma. Neck. The trachea is in the midline and there is no palatable lymphadenopathy or thyromegaly. I think that just means there's nothing's out of line in the neck, right? Chest. The chest has a normal anterior posterior dimension. The breasts are free of masses with normal appearing nipples. Abdomen. The abdomen is soft without palpable masses. External genitalia. The genitalia are that of an adult female without trauma to the external genitalia. There is a tampon in the vaginal vault. Stop right there. This is why I have a big, huge problem with the DNA card that they did not want to say with proof of paperwork was Teresa Halbach's. There was nothing medical, no identification attached to the pap smear that was used to identify Teresa Halbach, that was used to triangulate her identity from the get-go. So as we go into Carmen's paperwork here, she's on her period. They're going to make a DNA card from her blood. They're also drawing her blood for toxicity reports and putting her blood into vials. When you look at the planted staged grab 4, we have about a vial of blood on the wall. That's it. I mean, really, honestly, you guys, I'm just saying. Extremities, back, and buttocks. The extremities, back, and buttocks are otherwise unremarkable. General internal examination. Body cavities. The descendant's body is opened by means of routine intermastoid and thoraco-abdominal incisions. The organs of the thorax, I can't say this, and abdominal cavities are in their normal positions. There are no effusions, adhesions, or adenopath to the body cavities. Boy, this is not as easy, boy. Muscle skeleton system. There are no fractures to the skeleton. The bone marrow is red, brown, and homogeneous. There are no abnormalities to the muscular structure of the body. I just messed that up completely. Head, central nervous system. On reflection of the scalp, there are no... I'm just going to leave this for you guys. I'm going to give you the link to read it. I cannot read this because it is so medical, and I know medications, but I don't know all this terminology. So we're going to jump down here. There really wasn't anything that was abnormal in her body other than her toxicology report. Her stomach contained 100 cc's of soft tan red material. The stomach and esophagus had tan without focal lesions. There was small, large intestine seemed unremarkable. Her kidneys seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. She was a healthy person. So let's go down here. The autopsy finding was pulmonary edema in the lungs, leptomeningeal congestion, detection of cannabinoids in postmortem specimens. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this on the screen. So this is St. Louis University Toxicology Laboratory report from Missouri, and it is Carmen Boutwell, 24 years old, female. Ethanol, she had 0.111 grams as a percent. So that's 111 milligrams of ethanol. She did not have acetane, isopropylene, or methanol. Her blood drug screen, which was, I believe, something like a 15 panel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 18 panel. She did test positive for methadone at 0.70 micrograms per milliliter. Her cannabinoid quantitation, her delta 9 THC was negative, but her 11-nor delta 9 THC was 24 nanograms, which really would mean that she was a pretty heavy smoker, honestly. And, you know, nowadays they consider it holistic and it's legal all over. So she was just before her time, I guess. It does show that this request was by Manitowoc County Coroner. It does show that this received in the lab by a Judy L. Barr on 11/7/05, and that Christopher Long reported this on 12/12 December 05. All right, I'm coming back topside, you guys. I don't even know where to start. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. I hate to have you post your same. Okay. I just shared my heart with you people. You know, I've held on to that not just because I didn't want the guilters to get a hold of anything about Carmen and mess with her. I don't want anybody threatening the Boutwells. They did not release this information. It was given by friends and public researchers that had discovered this information to me quite a while ago. A lot of us know about it. A lot of us knew I had it. Others have copies. I chose to come forward in a brave move against all suggestions, because I'm wanting us to get the truth out there. And Deb Hochstetler, if you really do have a letter that tells the truth from Deb Kakash about Ricky, please, I'm begging you, share it. It's time for all of us to join and take a stand and not allow them to compromise us into a fearful position. We have to stand up for Carmen. We have to stand up for Ricky. I want to say Teresa, but at this point, I don't even know if she's dead. I'm sorry. I don't even know if she existed at this point. Did they create her? I mean, the whole thing is so sketchy. They'd been planning it forever. Why would, apparently the cops have no problem killing a woman to get at pictures if it turns out that a cop's revolver was used to kill the lady that had the cop's ex-wife. Cynthia Schultz died because of these photos, most likely. I'm just sick of them getting away with making us locals that live in Wisconsin feel like if we share, our family's in danger. You guys are trampling all over our innocent people. And we're standing up. And we're saying, stop it. We know what you're about. We know what you did. We know how you did it, when you did it, where you did it, who you did it to. We know who's responsible for Ricky's death. We know that. We just can't accuse you because we don't have the proof. But it might be in a letter. I recall back in the day when before Grimm was killed, there was a whole thing about if Deb was a coroner and there was a second hit to the victim, and she said, Deb Kakash said, if it turned out that the second person responding, which was a Manitowoc County officer, had actually been the one to kill the victim, that she was coming forward, didn't matter. They were getting prosecuted whether they were a cop or not. So I know she's on the right side. So here, Gretchen, come here, I'll help you. If Deb Kakash gave you a letter, she wants you to open it. And I know it's a lot to ask. It's scary to want to read it. It's scary to think of reading something like that. It was horrifying at the same time. I couldn't not read Carmen Boutwell's autopsy, because if there's something in there, such as the fact that she's on her period when they do all this DNA, they make a DNA card off that, and then poof, they've got a DNA card for Teresa, but they can't tell you whose it really is. There's no medical information. Please. Hey, Justine. Hey, Deb. I need you guys to share this. We've got to protect the locals. They're digging into it. They're getting it out there. Kim has begun to get calls from family members wanting to know what's going on, so she's trying to dig in based on what us YouTubers are getting from other locals. Now the locals are starting to talk to Kim and others. They're starting to interact and pull together. This is what we've always wanted, is the truth to start coming out. We just didn't know how serious the truth is. I need you guys to get your eyes on these photos, and try to tell me what's going on here. Is that really Ken Kratz? Is that Mike Bushman? Is that Peterson? Is that Ken Peterson? It really looks like him. One of them looks like Sherry Colhane. I know for a fact, to me, in my personal opinion, that's Bridget. There's no way around that. That girl, she's got those Sergeant Pepper eyes. I mean, there's no denying that that is her. And the same with Peterson. He's got them, hound dog eyes. It's there to me. I can't not think something about that. I don't know what we're supposed to do. How do we get rid of nepotism? I mean, we share and we share and we share and we share, and we're all asking the same thing. What the hell does it take to get these two home? to outright say to the state of Wisconsin, you're holding Stephen and Brendan hostage at this point. It should be a federal crime to hold innocent people hostage against the Constitution. Every single one of their rights have been violated. Their lives have been stolen. And we all know it. Even the guilters know it. We all know it's true. Governor Evers, I'm calling you out. You're either with us or you're against us, because you damn sure know the truth. You know the truth. We need help. And we need people. We need George Clooney to take a minute and go, yeah, I'm going to share this too. The world's going to see this to the point that we're going to start changing our planet. We have to. We have to start talking. We have to get everybody aware to protect your children from police now. Remember, 30 years ago, we used to tell our kids, if you get, it's called stranger danger. You get scared, you find a policeman. Well, now we can't even tell our kids that. We can't even tell our kids to go find a cop, because our cops are jacking off on stage in front of our kids. What the hell? Really? And no, it's not just Wisconsin. Look at Rodney Reed's case. For the love of God, that's just a joke. Look at the Daniel Holtzclaw case. Darlie Routier. These are real cases that they're getting executed in Texas. People are getting executed all the time over there. Most of them thought to be innocent on death row. All of them have one thing in common in all these wrongfully convicted cases. Every one of them has some sort of a weapon that they claim is a murder weapon that they refuse to allow the defense team to test for DNA. Why? Because you've sentenced somebody based on junk science to death or to life in prison? And now the Andy system's out for the world and we can test DNA in 90 minutes, and you're about to see a revolution of those wrongfully convicted that could bankrupt our entire United States. And Stephen Avery set the bar pretty damn high at $36 million. Was he unjustified? Hell no. So I don't do lives that often. I don't do videos that often. I only do them when I feel like I got something to say. I'm not in here for the ratings. I don't care if you guys put a thumbs up, even though I love you guys and it does tell me, hey, I liked what she said. I could give a flying hoot about rating. It's not about rating when I got to go to work and, worry about my family because I came on here and said all this. But I'm willing to do it because I know dang well that that's what the locals are willing to do now. And I've talked the talk. It's time to walk the walk. I believe you, Courtney. I agree with you. I think they did kill Marianne Daney because Dave Bogata wouldn't join their club. Sean says, I understand the girl who was killed was a passenger on a bike, which was in a collision with one of the Hermans. Todd, I believe. Yep. Them Hermans. Ricky Hochstetler, his accident, they found pieces between his place and Cleveland. Pieces of evidence that very much likely were associated to the vehicle that hit and killed him. And just coincidentally, who happened to have pieces of that accident heading to Cleveland? Robert, who had no right to the pieces. There was no chain of evidence whatsoever, and eventually the pieces got lost. I'm reading here. Well, I'm not going to sit here and say Dave Bagona might be in the club. I'm not going to, because that would be really dumb to go out and tell the whole world about the club, because club would be willing to kick your ass and nobody's going to believe you back in 2000, 15. And so you just pretty much threw yourself under all the buses there were. And then to stick to your guns and go through the hell that he did, I'm not going to step away and say Dave's part of the club. Why call it out? Dave Bagota risked everything to be the first one to come forward and publicly start uncovering the club itself and how horrible the club is, and that it was about sex and men and children, and it's ridiculous, and the nakedness and the drugs and all this kind of stuff. And he just kept calling it the club because he didn't know what else to call it. And he refused to be part of the club. If he was part of the club, he would have never been allowed to say all the shit he has. So for me, that don't fly. He'd be dead if he was part of the club talking. But I do believe there is a club, and I do believe it does kill people. And I believe there is law enforcement in the club. There's no doubt. So now I'm going to try to get to the website, but remember my RAM is really low because we are live. I wanted to share a little sneak peek of what I work on besides all this. Also, I am working about 60 to 65 hours a week at work now, so I'm just typing. It doesn't seem like it's working, but maybe it'll pop up in a minute. You know how that goes. There it goes. Oh, like I entered it 40 times, but let me get rid of that. And we should be able to go right into it. Oh, maybe I got to put a www. Maybe you have to put a www in front of nocrimenotime.org. No, you don't. You can just type in No Crime, No Time Community. Now, I'm logged in, so it's going to appear where you're getting to see a paid subscription. Now, it is free. All the court documentation is absolutely free to the public and everything. It's just these videos that I'm making with you now, they'll be available for the paid subscriber. As well as becoming a member, not only does it allow us to host our own site free of advertisement and not have to listen to advertisements, interrupt our videos, and so forth, we also protect ourselves from COPPA, because as soon as you pay for your membership, you obviously are of age to have a credit card, which means, you're old enough to see the video. But what it also does is it supports ourselves. So it gives us freedom of speech, and we don't have to deal with censorship. So anybody can go, and you're seeing this part here. I'm going to grab a drink before I cough. All this talking has my throat really dry. So it's coming soon. It's due out on March 1st. And down here, you can click here and you can join to become a member if you choose to. Like I said, whether you want to become a member or not, you can remain a guest, and you are able to see any public court documents on any of the cases and photos without becoming a member. If you want to do more of you want to upload an individual that you feel needs attention, maybe there's somebody wrongfully convicted that you want to share stuff on. As a member, you do have that ability, and you can add to the files, and publicly they can still see it whether they're a member or not. So that's what this is about here. More, let's see here. We'll go over to, let's go over to the file share. I think that's the one I chose. So this is the No Crime, No Time community, and this is case file sharing, which is amazing. And if you're a member, you can actually see here, you can create a new folder. So I'll just make one here, and I'm going to type test while live on YouTube. You guys will actually be able to see this later when you go to the site. And it's not just because of who I am. I'm actually just logged in like a paid subscriber. So you'll be able to do that too. And it says, great, you created a new folder. Now I can choose that folder and I can start adding files to it. So let's say that you want to list about somebody wrongfully convicted, or there's a victim that's missing, or any type of true crime and you want eyes on it. You can list that file and upload all the files you want on it. So that's one thing. Then let's see, let's go back to the file. You just click file, it'll take you right back. You can see here, Brendan Dassey, there's 116 items. So this is mostly the court documents themselves. They are legal documents and you can click on them, and I'm not going to do it, but it'll take you right to it. If for some reason you really like one, you can actually favorite it, and then that way you can choose to see just your favorite files and it'll pull that up for you. Also, when you want to go back, whoops, I went too far. You can see right now in the beginning, we've only got the Brendan Dassey, the Daniel Holtzclaw, Darlie Routier. There is a fact, so you can look at the frequently asked questions file. It'll tell you how to do stuff if you need help. Chris Skinner case, Rodney Reed, Stephen Avery, and the one we just made. Now, if you do get stuck, there's a members chat over here, so you can actually contact us on there for the admin, and we'll help you out. But you can just click here and it'll return you right back to the home page. So the next thing I want to show you, and this is just part of what I've been doing. So I built this from scratch, so bear with me. So this happens to be just the Avery case, and this is the evidence photos, and it's broken down by, I believe it's 8 sections. So we have burn barrels, we have DNA, gun and bullet, interior property, miscellaneous evidence, RAP4, suspect location, suspect vehicles. So for instance, if you went to suspect location photos, choose Cuss Road. Let's see. Keep in mind it's slow because I'm doing a live stream. You can basically choose any of these photos. We will just grab this one. And it'll give you this wonderful blow up that allows you to truly look at these pictures in a close-up, clear way. So this happens to be the Cuss Road pictures. Now, there is a lot of photos to be added to this. We've just got a few of them in because we're just working on framework right now. But you can click here and it'll take you back to the main page here of the photos for Steve Avery. My RAM's so slow right now because I'm recording. So that's one thing. And then for membership access area, that's where you can become a member. For members, there's the RD video blog, which is the Rubber Ducky video blog. And I've recorded some of our archived videos that are like Paul Capaldi and Brandon Maddox and Jax West, Dave Bagata, actually, just like we've been talking about him today. There's an actual interview that he gave us. Computer kind of froze, so I hope I don't lose you guys. But that's what video blog is. It's more like live interviews, or just like I'm doing today, just jumping on and sharing. Now, we do have the RD video section as well that you'd get as a member. And then the Queso Read, which is a podcast, there's 111, I believe. Those actually will be for the public. So let's go to, here's one of the videos. And you do get the full-blown video as a member. As public, you will only just see the trailer to the video that we do. So let me see if I can jump over there. I know, I'm like doing a lot of jumping, and this computer has the RAM of a squirrel. It absolutely is. It's it's maxed out. Sorry for it being slow. That's what the reasoning is. So this happens to be investigation into Cuss Road. We'll show you the trailer. You ready? We'll go big with it. Go big or go home, right? I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, we can. Okay. Give it a minute. It's like 30 seconds. So we'll have a trailer for every one of our videos that are real videos, you know. And the new ones coming up too would have a trailer, and then there'll be a link to connect to the video. But let's get out of the full screen here. You can scroll down. We'll get caught up here with the RAM on the computer, and let me... Normally this thing works like a dream, but when I'm recording, it's extremely slow. Come on. There we go. So let me close the member chat section. You just click here to play the full video. Gives you a little synopsis of it. And what's wonderful is, let me see if I can reload the comment section. It's probably not working because my RAM is down. But there's a comment section, and unlike YouTube, you guys will be able to connect your own photos. You'll be able to leave memes. You'll be able to leave all kinds of little symbols. You won't have to pay any super sticker prices, nothing. It's all there for you. So I did a post you can see under my comment. Feel free to share your thoughts with us. I put a picture here. And you can upvote it as well as respond and reply to each one of these. Now, there is also a members section that'll be coming out that will allow you to, for lack of better words, you'll be able to tweet amongst yourselves, but it's not Twitter. It's within the website. But we also can bring in our Twitter on this, and Instagram, Facebook, all of our multimedia will be centered into the same thing. So this is just a little rundown of how it rolls, and I hope that you guys enjoy it and join us, because we're getting away from the big brother YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is owned by the government. Well, here we are fighting for those wrongfully, convicted by the government. So I've got to get out from under YouTube, and that'll allow us to not be suppressed, allow us to have freedom of speech and so forth. All right, I'm going to come topside here and come back to see what you guys have to say. I'm just about ready to wrap this up, but I want to make sure and catch anything you guys want to add to this. Let's see. Well, we definitely have some people that have some strong opinions about Dave. Black Sheep does. Dave is a dirty spy and so forth. I just personally disagree. Okay? Dave's, he's put himself out there for us, and he didn't have any reason to do that. Super Mario wants to know, where can we see these photos? Are they public? Within the next 24 hours, you'll be able to find them on social media all over, because a lot of people are sharing them. Plus, the website will be listed below, and I will upload them onto the nocrimenotime.org site as well. So they'll be ready and waiting in many different ways for you guys to look at these photos, as well as some of these comparisons. We're not going to give you all the comparisons, because we want you to do some of the comparison work yourself. If you look at it yourself and so forth, you're going to form your own opinion. We're not trying to lead your opinion. So yes, Richard does tell it as it is. So we do appreciate that Richard Boyd. A lot of times he gets to the point without doing any bringing you up to speed. So you have to, he just jumps in with both feet, which is commendable in many ways, but it can leave some of the people that aren't quite as deep in the case a little confused as to what's going on as all. So we are working together, and we're all trying to bring this to light. And for the last time, Dave Pagoda is not in the club. I agree with Hazel and Courtney. Dave in the club making it sound like there's a club and making it sound crazy to protect the club, that doesn't make any sense. He's the one that told us about the club. He's the one that has been working to yeah, no, Dave is not, there's no way. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, Black Sheep. I just totally disagree. You have the right to have your opinion, though. If you yourself want to believe that Dave is part of that club, that is your choice. I personally cannot accept that at all. Yeah, I do agree with you, Jeannie. Protect your future for you and your children. It, who else is going to do it? I agree with you, Sean. He continues to speak out, and Dave Bagata is out there doing circles trying to make sure that he's watching his own back. I've personally talked with Dave, and there's just no way. He's extremely supportive of anybody sharing information to show the corruption. He also pointed out that there were law enforcement on the beach prior to Penny being raped, or even attempted rape, or allegedly attacked, or whatever. So that would also not be something the police would want shared, nor the club. I think we're going to hide Black Sheep soon. I'm pretty sure Black Sheep is a shill. What a troll. Dave left Wisconsin because of insurance fraud and a murder rap, allegedly. Yes, you are a troll. Let me see how I get done with you, because I like your opinions to be shared, but you're not going to, run over everybody else. So just for today, just chill out. Okay. Is there anything you guys want to add before I go? I don't know how long it's going to be before the site's up. My goal is March 1st, and I'm going to make that goal whether we're ready to go or not. If we've got 3/4 of it done, you'll get 3/4 of it. But it will be a growing site. I'm taking my time on it. I'm the only one doing graphics on it, so it's a very slow process for me, but I want it to be perfect. I did want to show you. Oh, I haven't made that. We'll do that another time. One thing that's nice is on the Casio read, where I did a read of the Casio reports, which is 1,117 pages. That was 111 volumes, right? Videos, basically. Podcasts. And so I had this idea in my head that I wanted it to be online as a bookshelf with all the volumes being the books, and you'd click the book to see the movie or the video or the podcast, whatever. And so that's what's taking me a little bit of time to build. But oh my golly, you guys, this website brings us together, and it helps locals have a way to communicate files and share files in a way that we have not had before. And it will become one of the largest areas for us to converse. It will also have live chat like this does, as well as it will have an ongoing forum that we can do and post and share Reddits and share, Twitter and all this stuff. So, all right, guys. Anything else you want to say? I love you very much. Thank you, Super Mario, for staying, even though it's past your bedtime. Night. Yeah, you will need to pay for the actual membership access for that part, for the video part. That supports us on no advertisement, no censorship, and to meet the COPPA law. It will be $1 a month if you pay $12, and that's for a year. But if you do it just monthly, which is fine too, you get the same benefits either way. It's just $2 a month. So not too bad, huh? And that covers all our fees, from the website to our email program, our campaigns, to being able to do our Twitter feed on there, and also being able to do all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, I don't know that Black Sheep. That's not the Black Sheep I always knew. Yeah, we did have a Black Sheep that has been with me for the very beginning. But that gentleman that was just here was not him at all. He's just using the same name. So. Getting a lot of thank yous. You know, thank the loyal locals that are coming forward. I didn't do any work. All I did is talk about what they're sharing, that they've done months worth of study on, digging through old files to find old pictures so that they could bring them up and do some comparisons for you guys to put the story together and everything. So, you know, all the thank you goes to the locals. They're the ones that are pushing this out. And, you know, it really has to come out. Wonderful, SPD. I appreciate any help I can get. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to end the stream. I just want to say much love to all of you. If I can type it. There it goes. It said much top. Kind of fitting for all the nude pictures. That's a rose I tried to make. Thanks, Justin. Thanks. I just want you guys to dig in, see what you can find, and let me know. You know, you can always email me. I'll give you my email. It's at rubberducky2005@yahoo.com. And then the other one, we have a new one now. It's rd@nocrimenotime.org. Okay? Those are my two emails. Hit me up if you need anything. That's what the locals do. And I appreciate your time. Night, everybody.